Welcome to the Data Analyst Show. Join us as we pull back the curtain on all things data, from the latest industry trends to our first-hand experience as data analysts. Whether you're navigating your career or just passionate about data, we've got insights, stories, and tips for you. On today's episode, we'll be sharing our experience as analysts at DBT and how we're using our very own tools to be effective. With several new features now available to our broader group and customers, we want to share how we've been adopting them into some of our workflows to address some of our pain points that we feel are ubiquitous across the industry. Joining us today is Jules. Jules, why don't you share a little about yourself?
Hey everyone, my name is Jules. I'm from the central data team of DBT. I'm actually an analytics engineer in this company, but I was once a data analyst, so I'll be more than glad to share some tips, some resources, and valuable insights that I can share for everyone. So I'm so happy to be here in this session. Thanks for inviting.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to have you and introduce some more folks to the analytics team here. So I guess we can kind of jump right into it. We have some exciting stuff coming out. One of them being our new Insights feature. Logan, do you want to share a little bit about that and how you're using it?
I would love to. Yeah. So to set the stage here with my enthusiasm for insights, I've been at DBT Labs for 3 years. I originally started on the training team. So I was training folks on DBT Cloud version 1, which was a totally different beast from what it is today. And while it was an amazing tool and continues to be an incredible tool, there's always been something that it felt like was missing, which Insights really covers that need from the perspective of an analyst. For anybody who's been developing in DBT, we really try to use the software engineering principles and have version control and branching and Git and all these incredible things that really make our project really secure, really well designed. But it's been really, really difficult to just kind of go in and play around and develop insights on your own. Hey, look, I use the name. Develop insights, develop perspective, and kind of build that analysis off of what already exists in DBT. And so thinking back to,
Yeah, to clarify, so when you say build that analysis, is this more just basically a native SQL runner or like a SQL IDE that I can then, or I guess we have our IDE, Cloud IDE, but this is more of just a SQL window that I can just get numbers and query the data in?
Yeah, exactly. So the thing that was exciting about it is that it doesn't have that Git and version control aspect of it, right? So I can jump in and grab a fresh notepad and just start writing my SQL, which in the past I needed a separate tool to do that. Either I needed a separate tool or I was going into DBT and making a branch that I was then going to delete because I needed to write some SQL, but I wasn't planning on merging it in. And so having this fresh notebook where I can go in and I can just start developing things inside of DBT rather than outside using a separate tool is what got me super pumped. And then kind of on top of it, the integration of, I really feel like I'm doing a sales play here, but I'm genuinely so excited about it.
We're
The
so
integration
excited.
with our catalog, right? I can think about all of these times when I was developing an analysis and I would be DBT's open in one window and I have another tool in another window where I'm like developing my SQL and writing things down and I'm jumping back and forth to figure out like what's the model that I need? What are the columns? What does this column even mean? Wanting to look at my descriptions. And so this gives me a singular place to go and like start building inside of DBT, have everything in one place, be able to reference the things that I need.
So what you're saying is you might not need two monitors anymore.
I actually don't have two monitors anymore.
What?
I just have one really big monitor.
Okay,
So
you
it is
do
broken up
your
into two
mono
windows.
monitor.
But yeah, I can just go mega ultra wide mode just in DBT and have everything that I need rather than having to jump between a bunch of them and wear out my command tab keys, you know?
Yeah, that's such a pain being an analyst, having to do the Chrome tab gymnastics, and manage RAM and try and actually remember where everything's at. Yeah,
or
that's
not
really
manage
nice.
the RAM. have to like, I gotta restart. I'm halfway through the day and everything's frozen.
Or having to like find some model logic. That's kind of similar to my experience. Like you have to like go upstream to somewhere in a DAG and then like copy and paste that into another thing, and then you have to like go and manually change the ref Jinja to the actual table name, and it's just kind of a headache. So it is really nice that it's more of a native experience now and a bit more seamless. Jules, I know you, even though you're working more on the building side, the analytics engineering side, you've mentioned that you've used this feature as well. I would love to hear, how this has helped you.
Yeah, so I think this is really common, especially for folks who have their data teams wherein their analytics engineers and data analysts are in one role. They usually call it analytics associate. So this is really common at startup companies or even established companies. And sometimes you create dashboards or analysis or reports, but which is a fun part, but there are some times that it's not really fun and there are outages that will happen. And when I say outages for all of our listeners, what I mean by that is you know how your job runs can sometimes fail because there seems to be a duplicate customer details and we need to understand where it's coming from. That
That
kind of
doesn't
thing.
happen,
And
Jules.
Yeah,
Come
right.
on. That's me.
Our data is
That's me.
perfect. I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking
there's
about.
never a duplicate. What are you talking about?
exactly. And it shouldn't happen. And the worst part is there are cases wherein you will be paying during your Friday shift before you log out. 2 hours before you log out, all of a
Oh.
sudden you will think, oh my goodness, what is going on? I don't know what's happening, but I think the good thing with DBT Cloud, it gives you the logs of where exactly it's happening. And of course, in our CI, it will just simply give you a table and it will show you where exactly is that duplicate coming from or where does the issue happen. And I usually use insights to copy and paste it there and then try to dabble and see the exact details. Okay, here's customer A and customer B, and then all of a sudden they have different dates. So sometimes you need to coordinate it with some wonderful people in the house outside your data team and then try to have some kiki session with them, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's useful. And what I like about it is the bookmark portion.
What's the bookmark portion?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's really cool.
It's pretty much an icon at the upper right corner of your browser. And then when you press it, it will allow you to give a name for that particular query that you're working on. And then it will force you to put a description. So it really makes you intentional. Like, what is going on here, mama? You have a
If you're
description.
gonna save this, make it meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is not just a random thing. This is not just my playground. It's something that maybe people might use. Like, for example, if there's like an outage, there might be some instance that someone needs to cover for you. Like, you might not be the right person who will do that, or maybe someone else can take over that for you because maybe you're busy. So you have to be intentional about like explaining what's going on so that it's easier to like communicate to your workmates. So yeah.
So
Yeah.
is it basically like a saved query type feature where you just like you have like when you go into the insights panel, you can see all of your other bookmarks and you can just like click and jump back into it?
Yes.
Got it.
So you will have the ability to like check all of the saved bookmarks that you have, which is like
That's
really
so nice.
Yeah.
And
And then
Paige, you
you
said
can-
you've gotten some value out of it too?
Yeah, well, you can share them, I think, is another thing that's like so cool. So often when I'm researching something, it's great if I know what's going on, but then I need to share it with people. And so my like previous process was really kind of harebrained where I have this like notebook that's my playground and I have like 500 cells in there where I'm like researching and I
Scratch work.
finally scratch work, right, finally get to the thing that I'm like, this is the answer, this is what everyone needs to see so they can see what I'm talking about. And then I have to like try to link out that one cell and then people open it and they have to like scroll forever because it doesn't scroll automatically because I don't want people looking at my playground. It's a mess. And so it's like so nice to actually be able to do that in DBT, in the insights, and then say, all right, this is the query I actually want to share with people, bookmark it, and send that link. And then people open
Nice.
just
Yeah.
that and run it. And it's so much easier to share out like exactly what I'm trying to share with people than like anything I've tried before. It's so awesome.
Totally. I also
Yeah.
love too that again, like because it's just part of DBT, it's not like you need to share, this insight with someone or share this number. And it's like, oh, I have access to this tool, but not that tool.
Right.
And then it kicks off
Totally.
a whole separate side quest of them like reaching out to IT or reaching out to some manager and then like bugging them like, hey, like I need to get this number to someone. Can you please like let them in? We need the keys. So it's
Keys.
nice that it's just kind of all handled.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, for me too, how many times have I like been researching in the catalog and found the model I want, and then all I want is just to look at like the first 10 rows of data. I just want to look at the data and like the gymnastics I'd have to go through to just look at the first 10 rows of the data. And now it's just like click, voila. It's all
We're there.
It's
I love
really,
it.
really sick. I love it.
That's awesome.
I think I tried to be, judicial with the amount of time that I was talking at the beginning, but I'm going to do more talking, if you'll let me, about more things that I love about it.
Please.
Which is kind of like the inverse of what Paige was talking about, right? So like it is really incredible the ease of just being able to like I'm in my catalog, I can pull that data out and I can look at it. The inverse of that is there have been countless times where as an analyst I'm developing something in an external notebook that I'm like looking into something and then it kind of grows and grows and grows and then inevitably needs to be shipped back into DBT. And
Right.
when that happens, the tedium that comes with that of selecting everything that I have, then moving it into DBT, and then having to go through this process of like, okay, now I need to DBTify my model,
Oh,
right? Like
totally.
I have all these hard code references that I now need to swap out with refs, and I need to like build all of these extra things that I don't actually have to do that anymore. If I build in Insights, I can use ref, I can use all of the DBT Jinja that exists. And then if it is something that I want to just promote into DBT, there is literally a button at the top that says develop. And I can choose to develop in Studio and ship that out into my IDE and just make a model of it. And so it's like I'm reducing
such a game changer.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I don't have to click between windows. I don't have to do a bunch of like backwards work to get my model to be able to fit back into DB. I can just have it all in one spot, ship it, promote it, be in a good spot. I freaking love it so much. Like I cannot express how happy I am about the fact that this exists. It is so great.
Yeah, I so agree and everything. The amount of time I have spent re-DBTifying something that I built in some other tool. Logan, exactly.
So you're saying that means like when we scope a project, we have more time for documentation now?
Heck yeah.
Less time spent model building?
That is like, and I know we'll talk about it later, but like one of the core concepts of DBT is make documentation easier. It feels like we're always taking steps towards it. But yeah, now we have more time to document. We have more time to get that stuff done. Even documenting your bookmark tools. That's why it's required.
Right.
DBT cares about documentation. Okay.
I think on that topic of documenting, one of my favorite features coming out is DBT Copilot. So this kind of just launched maybe like a month ago, but it's becoming very quickly adopted by our customer base. And for me, I really love the like automated documentation piece. It's really nice to just have something that kind of supercharges that workflow. At least gives me like a rough scaffolding. It's not like picture perfect, but man, I feel like that was always the most tedious part where you get all the business logic done. And you're kind of like mentally fatigued. All right, I guess I'm going to like manually type out all these like 20 column names and, manually type out all of these column descriptions and being able to have something built in. And candidly, like maybe I speak for some of us or all of us, I was using some other AI tools that kind of help me speed up that documentation process, but to have it baked into the DBT workflow and baked into that ecosystem, it's just so helpful. It's less tab switching, less context switching. Jules, have you had a chance to use some of the Copilot features in your workflows?
I do. I use it a lot, especially if so like I believe in this premise wherein you need to teach the AI how to AI things. So like you don't just simply like randomly type something and then press the button, that's it, period, point blank. It's not like that. So I'm
So it can't read your mind yet.
Yes, like you need to teach the AI how to think because it's an artificial intelligence. You are the natural intelligence, so you better work, So, for example, I create like a model and then I have like data columns XYZ. You need to like create some prompt like, oh, this is like the data column. Here's the use case. Here's the acceptable value. And then when you press like the Copilot feature, it will use the same template. So you have to like initiate first. Like you need to start like, okay, AI, here's what you need to do, and then it will follow through. So like that's how I use it with my day-to-day work. It's really, really, really helpful. It saves a ton of time. And yeah, I can have more time, like maybe like have some coffee break, bathroom breaks, and then talk to my friends while waiting for my models to load. Like, kind of thing. Oh yeah, it's really convenient. I love it.
Jules is happy here, everyone.
No talking to your friends, Jules. Come on. You're not
Well,
being
we're
paid
the
for that
friends.
kind of
We're
stuff.
the friends, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we're friends.
Okay,
Not
all right.
friends outside.
Jules is saying with these new efficiency gains, he's like, I think this project is going to take me 6 weeks to the stakeholder. Builds it in 3, goes to Cabo for the other 3.
Jules' social life is really flourishing with all
That's right.
of the new features that we've got.
That's right.
That's awesome.
So
How about
cool.
you, Paige? Have
Yeah.
you tinkered with Copilot much?
I love it. Yeah, I definitely have used it for building the documentation like a lot. It's pretty cool. It's really, really awesome. And it's been kind of fun too, trying it with different things I'm trying to do in Insights or in Canvas. It's like kind of fun to see like, hey, if I ask it this, what's it going to come up with? And can I actually like learn some kind of cool tricks from this? It's, I don't know, I really enjoy that.
So yeah, I guess like kind of segueing over to Canvas.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about Copilot and what is this like Canvas thing you're talking about? I don't know if our users have heard about it yet.
Yeah, so Canvas is like a way to build and edit models where you can do it without SQL. You can actually, it's like one of those, it's
like a visual editor.
You can visually edit and create models with like connections. It's really cool way to like visualize doing the work. Copilot is available there too, so you can say like, tell Copilot, I want a model downstream that's going to do X, Y, and Z and see what it builds. And it can be, of course, like often we have to then kind of tweak stuff, but it can be a really nice way to get started. So you're not like faced with a blank slate and you're just like, okay, how do I get started on this thing?
So
it's really cool.
It sounds like Canvas as a whole is this like a great tool for people that might not be as comfortable with SQL or familiar like navigating code.
Yeah. Yes.
And if they're even to your point, like maybe they see this blank canvas, or like, I don't even know where to start. The fact that they can tap into our AI feature, Copilot, and get that those building blocks jump started for them to then kind of tweak and refine. That's awesome.
It's so cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have you kind of tinkered with Canvas? Have you done any actual development work there? Has it been more exploratory? What's been your experience?
Yeah, for me, I've definitely used it more exploratory. I think just from the experience that I have and the way I tend to do work, I do use SQL itself to write code most of the time. So Canvas is kind of like a way of kind of getting like a different paradigm sometime on the models I'm working with to see actually sometimes it's really cool to see how they're connected visually. Like one of the things that, is really interesting that I really love when we launched it in Catalog is that column level lineage. So you can see like this column in this model, it came from this column in that model, it came from this column in that model. And then sometimes in Canvas, I can open like one of the downstream models and start to see almost like in this visual way even more how things connect, which it's been really interesting. It's just like a new paradigm, I think, for me. But I'm also like really excited about what it will unlock for people we work with who maybe are less comfortable with SQL or just like want to be able to self-serve in a way that we haven't been able to like provide. I'm so excited about the potential there. And I know, Logan, you had some experience too and some thoughts on like how we'll be able to really, kind of jumpstart some people we work with who want to build stuff for themselves and want to self-serve, but Canvas will make it so much easier.
Yeah, no, I think it's like it provides an opportunity for folks who don't have that basis of SQL experience, but do have questions about the things that they're seeing or what they expect to be seeing. And I know we were talking about this earlier this week, and I have a couple stakeholders who I won't name so they don't know that I'm coming after them, but that I really use them
nameless. Yeah.
Yes.
Because in a good way, right? To unlock them, because they ask me questions that are like pretty self-serve questions, but they don't have the SQL knowledge to be able to do that. And so having the opportunity to go into a tool that is connected to all of our data and to be able to see exactly what they want. I mean, there are some stakeholders that I'm sure that we all work with that just kind of want, give me a big dump of data and I'm going to export it and put it in Excel or G Sheets and manipulate it that way. And like having an opportunity for them to get that data and then manipulate it unlocks them, and it also unlocks us. And I think there's also kind of another group of folks that this is really going to be great for. And I mentioned training at the top of the episode. I remember I was doing a training, and I can't remember at this point who it was even with, but when we were getting into DBT and talking about like, okay, here's how we're going to build models and here's how we do all this. And the models are built with SQL. And the folks on the call were like, okay, so how do we get the SQL? And I was like, you write the SQL. We're gonna write it out. They were like, no, we don't write SQL. Like, we're not allowed to write SQL. We have to have a tool that is generating the SQL for us. So how do we do it? And I was like, I guess you don't. Like, I guess you keep using this other tool, and then you're going to do what we talked about earlier, right? Copy paste it, move it over, DBTify it, and then ship it into your project. And this unlocks folks who either don't have the SQL knowledge, or they're working in an organization where things are a little bit tighter and they don't want people writing custom logic, and they just want to be building things from like drag and drop, click. And it's amazing. I got into it yesterday to like play around with it a little bit, because admittedly I've been a little like apprehensive to get into it because I love writing my own SQL, but it really is a neat tool. Kind of Paige, you talking about it. Like, I was so excited when I clicked on the model that I wanted to import into my work, and I clicked on the model, and then it immediately shows me all of the columns that are in there. So like the integration with our catalog is so immediate.
Fantastic.
Like, there's not even another tab. Like in Insights, you can kind of pull up our catalog and see everything, but it's like, it is there in your face, very easy to find, very easy to use. And I think it's a really great opportunity for either stakeholders who want to explore a little bit more, or folks in organizations who don't have the capability or permissions to be writing their own
Absolutely.
SQL.
I think, so taking a little further too, like you talked about this like tight integration. Something that I really appreciate about the inclusion of this feature is exactly that, where like you can have people self-serve, where in my experience as an analyst, it's always like you always like build out these kind of like foundational models or these foundational kind of data assets, and inevitably there's always someone from some team that's like, actually I want it like slightly aggregated this way, or I want it averaged and not summed, or I want it grouped by this. And it's like not enough where like you want to spin up like a brand new like data model and data pipeline, but then it's like still time spent like actually writing the query and kind of changing the business logic, and then say like, okay, just hit like run whenever you need this notebook. But the fact that like they can do it visually now, and then if it ends up being a data asset that they use a lot, to your point with this integration, I think there is like a commit button that they can actually mature it into a separate data asset. And then at least in our workflow, I think when people do commit it, our team gets tagged in GitHub, and then we can kind of be that data analyst on the loop to make sure the business logic is good and things are kind of formatted correctly. But I think that's such a nice way of alleviating some of the bandwidth that we oftentimes spend enabling other people, or then like taking their one-off script and then maturing it into like a DBTified pipeline or data asset. It's so great that it's kind of already plugged in, and again, like those folks can kind of truly self-serve and just say, hey, like, can you review this for me? Because I want this to be a little bit more of a mature like asset.
Yeah.
Jules, you also mentioned that you've used Canvas as well in your role. So I'd love to hear some of your perspective and your experience, how it's been helpful for you.
I do. I actually use it for project management, which is like, what? You can use it for project.
What?
That's insane. Were you saying that?
Hear me out. So I always treat, so whenever I have like an analytics project, it's a project. It has a definite start and end. So you really need to like quote what are the exact deadline for this particular task. And you need to loop in your stakeholders in advance. Like, okay, usually I work with like dashboards in general, but like if they can see like a conceptual framework when you present it, it gives them this impression like, hey, the data modeling is a work. So like sometimes, like from a business perspective, people are really busy. So they sometimes need some reassurance like, oh, I'm doing some work, trying to like create something in the back end, and this is how it looks like. And it also helps with like the clarity of how are you supposed to like join the models without really presenting like the SQL. Like I totally understand if people might feel like, oh my goodness, what is an SQL in the first place? I don't know that language, sis. Like I don't speak that language.
I've been vaccinated against SQL, so I think I'd say
That's so fine. Like it's
I'm
totally
allergic.
does it make you like an incompetent person? Like we respect different talents in this house, honey. Like that kind of thing. You have to like allow people to have like the tangible feeling of like, oh, this is how the data modeling works. Like this is how
like
things
that.
are connected.
Yeah.
Here are the specific dates that we're using for the report. Here's how we are trying to combine these models and then create like a unified model that you use for reporting. And then it's also helpful if you're like, whenever you present to like a stakeholder, they will doze if you're trying to like put them in like a wall of text. Imagine like, girl, like I will not show my entire script and then talk about like how we're unpivoting CTEs, kind of thing.
100%. The amount of
Wait, I
times
feel
people's
like I've been
eyes have
doing this
glazed
wrong then.
over when I've
Wait.
like shared CTEs, I just feel like this blank stare of like, what? I'm like, no, not CTE, and in your brain injury, I mean like CT, like this code,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I want to respect people's time to like, okay, honey, this is how it's working. And sometimes they will also spot like some of the errors that you might have commit, which is like really helpful. It creates this like collaborative impression. Like at the end of the day, whenever we deploy a dashboard or like an analytics report or even like a machine learning model, so or like a data asset in general, they have a say on how it like you have contributed to this project.
This show is
I might
brought to you
lead this
by
project,
DBT.
but at the end of the day, this is
DBT
like
is the
a
industry
collective
standard
effort,
for data
and thank you
transformation.
for like
It
giving
allows your team to
feedback, and
prepare data
that
for
feedback
analysis
can be
in a
enabled
way
by
that's
using a
centralized, modular, and entirely open, all inside your cloud data platform. The outcome? Consistently dependable analytics for your organization. Now, the DBT community was built for and by data pros. Come hang out and transform with 70,000 of the brightest analytics engineers, data engineers, data analysts, and data scientists in the world. With DBT, you transform your data. With the DBT community, you transform
It's kind of
your
like
data
when you're doing it in
career.
raw SQL and you're running like, okay, here I build a CTE, now I just select from that CTE, and then okay, now I do this next one, I select this from that one. It's doing that, but like with a couple of clicks instead of all this stuff you have to write.
Totally.
Yeah.
It really feels like the platform's shaping up that like kind of anyone can kind of come in and be an analyst. There's several ways to access the data, and it's so like tightly integrated that you can be more confident that we're not getting some like rogue business logic. The amount of times I've had someone come in with like some rogue notebook and they're like, hey, how come I'm getting like 72 for this number? And I'm like, I don't even know what tables you're querying. I've never heard of these before. I don't even know what notebook this is. Like, let's go and walk through this business logic,
Yeah, it kind of puts like some guardrails around that, so people can still have that feeling of autonomy and like do their own thing, but within the structure that we've built and provided for them in kind of a cool way, and with our ability to check it when it comes to like the commits and stuff.
Yeah, so Paige,
Cool.
I'd love to hear a little more about that too. Like, you've been at DBT for a while now. Tell me more about this, like, I guess, like ecosystem with features and what that experience has been like. I feel like we've kind of talked about these things maybe individually, but have
Yeah.
you found it's like fairly easy to kind of jump between them and have one interlock?
It's so cool. So yes, I've been at DBT for 2.5 years now, and I swear that I have been seeing dreams and wishes that I've had the entire time, or even before I started working here, coming true as I'm seeing these features. It's like unbelievably exciting. Every morning is Christmas. So like, for instance, I think I was talking about this earlier when I want to figure out something I need to query or build. I go into catalog and I figure out where the DAG, and I figure out the model I need. And the ability to then like just click from there and go immediately into insights with the query already available, so I can query the data from that model. Or if I'm like, I already know that's the model I want, I can click right there and open it in like Studio and work on it, or open it in Canvas and start like editing that model, or open like already be set up to do a downstream model from that model in Canvas. And it's all just like right there. Like, it's amazing. You click the menu and it drops down, and like all the things you could want to do are just right there. It's so exciting. And some of the stuff that I've been really, really excited about too are things like, I sometimes really want to just like query a semantic metric. It's amazing to be able to like find it in catalog, click the button, and now I'm in Insights. I query from it. I click another little tab and I can see how that query was built. I can see the SQL behind the semantic metric, which is something I have dreamed about for literally years. It's so exciting. Like, I think I actually, there might even be a video out there in the world of me discovering this for the first time. Y'all, I'm literally crying. It's so exciting. It's ridiculous, I know, but I am. And then like you can even like click another tab and there's like a chart. So, oh my gosh, if all I really wanted was to be like, what was our ARR? I get to the metric, I query it, I have a quick little chart, I can screenshot that and send it to someone,
Right.
and it has taken me like 30 seconds to do something that would have taken half an hour or an hour in the past. It's unbelievable. So yeah, I'm like so excited. I don't know, I sound like a total nerd, but I'm just really thrilled about all this.
I think like hearing you talk about it, because I was also reflecting on my enthusiasm earlier of like how amped I feel about this.
Yeah.
And listening to you talk, I was kind of thinking like, why are we so excited? Like, obviously it's exciting. They're exciting tools, but I think that most everybody on the data team has been working with the product team and giving feedback and like talking through
Yeah.
the
Absolutely.
things that we need. Like, I
Yes.
remember months ago having conversations about like, okay, well, how do you do like one-off analysis in DBT? And me telling the product team, I don't. And they're like, why
Yeah.
not? Why don't you use
Yeah,
the
can't.
analysis folder? And I'm
Right.
like, I'm not doing that. I'm not making a branch. I'm not committing it. I'm not
Because it's
saving it. Like,
painful.
yeah, it's like, I can't do that. And I think that all of us have been pulled in on all of these conversations that we've been developing these kind of extra tools inside of DBT. And we have been considered of like, as an analyst, what is it that you are doing and why aren't you doing it in DBT? Like, what do you need? How can we facilitate that? And so I think that's why it feels so exciting. Like, you're saying, Paige, right? It feels like a dream. And like you and I have been here for so long and seen so many iterations of DBT and have really felt the pain sometimes of like trying to dog food your product and not being able to do the things that you need to do because it just doesn't have that functionality. And so being pulled in, being a part of those conversations and really being able to like help mold this into a tool that really can be used to do all the things we need to do is what is so exciting about it, because it's like, wow, like we've hit all of the issues that I had, and like I really feel like I can jump in feet first and like do the things that I need. And there are considerations for so many different angles at which you can come at this, whether it's insights or Canvas, right? Like there is so much more to the product, and I think that's what's so exciting about it.
Totally. All of the sharp edges have been rubbed off. Like all of the bridges have been built. It's like a dream. Yeah.
I think that's been, something I've been grateful for. So I'm coming up on my year mark, and it's just been so exciting to see how much kind of care and attention our product and engineering team have towards the experiences we share and some of those pain points and prickly parts. And, for the most part, I don't think they've shied away from a lot of our suggestions. So, to our user base, to our customers out there, like we hear you, like as the internal analytics team, like we're aware of like, when things aren't so fun to use or are kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
And it's been honestly like a privilege to kind of come in and be like the ICP. So I think with that, I guess like one of the pieces we didn't quite talk about, but I think and it's kind of been available. It's not necessarily in our spring launch, but cost management. And I think that was also kind of a big piece that was missing from the platform for a while, where, okay, you can like schedule, you can create these DAGs, you can create these jobs, you can schedule them, but where the heck, like, where can I find this cost info? Do I have to go into like some other like cloud platform tool and log in and try and map the like pipeline name tags and hope the metadata came through?
Yeah.
Jules, like, Paige, have you used the cost management feature much? Have you found it helpful?
Mine, yeah. I think like before we have deployed like the cost management in DBT, we have like some reporting that has been built by one of our team members in the data team. Shout out to Brandon. Thank you very much for like that. It's really helpful because I think whenever we create like data models or dashboards, we need to think about the cost it involves. Like at the end of the day, data has operations, and operations comes with like cost, money.
Right.
So, like we need to like tell our stakeholders that hey, we're running 4 million rows of data here, and this is how it will cost us, and it will be slow. So let's make sure that first this is really worth it. Like
Yes.
Absolutely.
the 4 million rows, like is it? So like that kind of thing. And also it actually forces you to like think more modular. Why is it 4 million rows in the first place? Why is it so expensive? So like it allows you to like make it, maybe you need more ink models, or like maybe there's something going on about like the upstream model that you're trying to ingest, or maybe you're doing a ton of joins in the first place. Like maybe you're committing 7 or more joins. Like imagine I've encountered model for like 14 joins. Like imagine that. Like girl, like
Did I build that?
Well,
Maybe I built that. I don't know.
Pull up the Git blames, Jules. Let's see.
Absolutely.
What's
Let's
going
do
on
it
here?
live.
Who's submitting these war
Who
crimes?
did it?
She's
It's
building
me.
a cult. Like,
I'm the
this is
problem. It's me.
civilization. So
I love.
let's avoid that. Let's try to make it more modular.
All right.
Use the
Absolutely.
DBT philosophy and then make
Yes.
it work by making it more modular and
Well,
smaller.
I love the idea that you're talking about how, like, I feel like oftentimes these features are kind of sold to org directors or like management as like, hey, like, here's how to kind of keep in mind the bottom line of these operational costs. But I love that as someone on the data team, as you're building these pipelines, you're using it as a way to kind of tie the business impact to like the actual true cost of it, right? And you can kind of get the dollars and cents like, hey, we want this like scheduled report, scheduled pipeline, but like, here's how much it's actually costing to do it. Like, do we care about it that much, or are there optimizations we could do? I think that's such a valuable asset for any kind of IC looking to level up and mature the way they're kind of going about their work. It's like really being aware and putting on that, manager, that director level hat, like, hey, like, what does it actually cost to do business and serve our stakeholders these insights? So
Yeah,
I think that's a great story.
Awesome. Yeah. It's like, that's real ownership. And be able to, sometimes you have to make the argument of like, yes, I can get you that data in exactly that shape, but look at what it costs us. How about we do something different? Maybe it won't be exactly like hourly refreshes, but is that really necessary? Is it worth this? I haven't used it personally yet a ton, but that's the kind of stuff I'm imagining being able to do with it. And one of the things that has been useful for me as the data analyst is knowing that exists. Because to me, that feels like a backstop. Like, I can create a model and it does exactly what I need. It gives me the data and the shape I need. And then I merge it in and like, there's no errors. So everyone's like, yeah, okay, this looks good. We'll add it to the project. And then maybe in a couple weeks, we find out that it was a turd. The logic was bad. The windowing in there. I mean, I love doing all these like cool windowing things because I can, but doesn't mean I should. And maybe it's costing us money. And it was a really like encouraging is to know that others on my team can see that and be like, oops, this model, that one needs a refactor. And then we can work together.
Those nested CTEs and correlated subqueries.
That's
my favorite.
I know.
The more complicated, the more exciting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The more proud you feel when you're like, yes, it worked. But yeah,
I don't know how it works, but it's working.
Yeah, so it's just like so nice to know that if I really step in it, we're going to know pretty quickly and we can fix it right away. And that is like just real peace of mind for me.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for sharing their perspective on some of the new stuff to our users and customers. We hope you all are just as excited as we are.
Yeah.
Please reach out, any questions, and tune in next week for a guest speaker who's on our engineering team. They have some more exciting updates with some of our AI features coming out and how supercharged Copilot will become. More details coming on that soon.
Yeah. I'm just so excited to hear from other data analysts about how, like, what y'all's experiences with these new features. I want to know. Like, it's going to be really, I hope you feel excitement like we do, because it's really sick. It's really cool, y'all. Yeah.
Awesome. And Jules, thank you for making a guest appearance. It was great to have some more local talent on.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me here. It's so lovely. I love it. Thanks for bringing me here.
All right, sleep tight. Sleep tight, my little data babies.
I love that. I'm a data baby. Hey.
This show is brought to you by DBT. DBT is the industry standard for data transformation. It allows your team to prepare data for analysis in a way that's centralized, modular, and entirely open, all inside your cloud data platform. The outcome? Consistently dependable analytics for your organization. Now, the DBT community was built for and by data pros. Come hang out and transform with 70,000 of the brightest analytics engineers, data analysts, and data scientists in the world. With DBT, you transform your data. With the DBT community, you transform your data career.